One Piece 1008 Analysis. Ashura Doji died? Orochi Revenge. The link between Kaido and Momonosuke. Hello everyone, welcome back to Top Shounen. In the previous chapter 1007, Chopper appeared in time, blocking Yatapei's sword, saving the flower boss Hyogoro's life. After that, the president used a newly prepared antibody bomb, shot in the middle of the music hall. This makes the Queen's ice virus inactivated, saving the pleasure and waiters' lives. In the face of the Queen's brutality, they also announced to abandon the beast pirates and protect Chopper. But the president does not need the fish to protect. Chopper bit a candy, transformed into a monster, and the Queen lost her face, for calling him Weasel and Weasel. The slap of 100 belly, to the mouth of 1,320,000,000 belly, shows that the wanted amount is determined by the Navy, which is for reference only. Meanwhile, in another area, Momonosuke got angry at himself. The boy turned into a dragon and got out of Yamato's shirt. At the same time, CP0 Group mentioned Vegapunk's product, about the genetic factor used on Kaido's body. These details will be continued in the new chapter, signaling a possible turning point. But the most shocking detail in chapter 1007, must be the return of Odin. When Kinemon's group was finished, they planned to assist everyone, but suddenly saw the princess from the entrance. After much speculation, controversy, finally the answer has been in chapter 1008, but this is not all. Momonosuke's devil fruit, Kaido connection, the war on top of the skull, is all going on in a very exciting way. And specifically, we invite you to the One Piece chapter 1008 analysis, titled Ashura Doji, the leader of the mountain bandit Atama. Can't blame you guys for being so surprised. I was sent to the future by Toki's power, in particular I'll explain later, it's a long story. Upon hearing Lady Toki's powers, the time travel group immediately got the news, as they had been sent by her to 20 years later, with Lady Toki. Izo and Denjiro were not present at the castle at that time, so they were also deceived. The fake Odin was also very wicked, only briefly reminded about Toki, taking the reason the war was tense, what's to be said later, to avoid being twisted by the chain stars. Unfortunately we don't have time to celebrate the reunion, sorry I was late. Back then we could not beat Kaido, but now we have a chance to do it again. When hearing Odin say so, the roses can only cry with emotion. I see, Princess Odin, yes, the princess can believe in us. Kinemon, Izo, Kiku, Nico, Inu, Kawamatsu and Denjiro are easily deceived, but there are two people. Object has not spoken yet. The first is the central character of the chapter, Ashura Doji. Don't be deceived, this is obviously a fake. It seems that he was wounded more severely than the others, partly because Ashura Doji is the strongest in the group, so he survived Kaido longer, and was beaten more by him, so he cannot stand up yet. Furthermore, Ashura hasn't been a time traveler, he's been a thief for the past 20 years, so he knows the situation in the country, whether Odin is alive or dead, Ashura already knows. But Kinemon still insisted that the person standing in front of him was the real Odin. At that moment the second character spoke, that was Reizo. Kinemon, remember what Lady Toki told us. Kinemon just awakened at this moment, he recalled Toki's words, in the flashback in chapter 920, she told her to only give someone else or copy. Body to the future, not back to the past. Reizo repeated that again, Lady Toki's ability can only bring people to the future, but Princess Odin passed away that day, it's true. Then how can he come to this future? Reizo's words, which also put an end to all paranoid theories, that Odin was not dead yet. He knew his princess had definitely died, wanted to send him to the future. Lady Toki was forced to go back to the time when Odin was not executed, which was impossible. And what Reizo said, even dispelled the suspicions in Ashura Doji's heart. Because he and Denjiro stayed behind to stop the pursuers, completely not witnessing Lady Toki's magic. Ashura only knew Odin was dead, but whether Toki sent him here or not, he could not be sure, but Ashura still did not believe Odin was real, because of his skeptical, careful nature. Hearing Reizo's explanation, the more he was sure that Odin was the imposter, immediately rushed to punch Kinemon in the face. This action saved Kinemon from danger, as the fake Odin while they were arguing, was drawing his sword towards him. Open your eyes, Kinemon. See, he's not bleeding. Ashura Doji drew his sword, slashed the face of the other Odin, proving his comrades. However, it seems that he was subjective when he was in front of someone in the form of Odin, or the wound caused by Kaido was very heavy, so he was easily impaled through his chest, falling to the floor. Ashura is the strongest, while no matter how real the drawing is, it is impossible to imitate strength. So his being stabbed, perhaps dominated by emotion. The proof is that Ashura cried and said, "I am no different from you guys, I also wish the princess was real." Though he strongly said that his comrades were not believed, but in his heart Ashura still wished for a miracle. Kinemon in chapter 974, a sword cut off the fake Kanjuro's head, but Ashura just slashed his cheek. Obviously he could not fight Odin, even if it was a fake. Perhaps he wished Odin bleed, or would block the sword, defeat him again with the power of the old days. It was those feelings that gave Kanjuro the chance to draw the chance, defeating the strongest person in red. Now that everyone had awakened, Denjiro immediately charged into attack, but it seemed that this Kanjuro pattern was more advanced, it could intercept him. Remote control is so laborious, and I won't be able to live until the end of the war anyway. I love it. But before I die, I will stick a blade into the heart of the Kojiki clan. I'm Kurozumi Kanjuro, he repeated his disgusting surname again, with the same goal of trying to kill Momonosuke. At the same time, we also know that Kanjuro was seriously injured, although Kiku did not completely finish him, but in chapter 986 Kinemon also thought he was dead. However, at this moment, Kanjuro was still aware that he could not live much longer, but before he died, Momonosuke had to be killed and completed his role. Now Denjiro and Kawamatsu realized the problem, and they also heard Bao Wang's voice in chapter 1006, when she announced the location of Yamato's group. On closer inspection, Bao Wang's cyborg mouse was still observing everything in the room. The Red Rose woke up, and fought with fake Odin was definitely sent back to the command center. The Red Star group now rushed to find Shinobu, and eliminated Kanjuro at the same time. But he made a good preparation, by attaching a bomb to the fake Odin. "Hey! Chasing a dying opponent is bad, your last challenge is here." He lit a fire, then burst in to prevent them from leaving the room, intending to settle down. Now that Ashura Doji got up, he knew that he was too weak to contribute much, so the best way is to sacrifice himself, protect his comrades, protect Momonosuke. Ashura hugged the drawing of Odin and jumped out the window, not forgetting to tell everyone, "Let's all get out of here, you have to stop Kanjuro." Then a terrible explosion happened, destroying an entire corner of the castle. Even though it jumped out, the aftershock still blew up the door of the room, blowing away the red stars. It's true that in One Piece, bombs and bullets don't mean much, but it's about shooting at monsters like Whitebeard. Perospero was still healthy, and nearly killed by Pedro with a suicide bomb. He said he was lucky that he had candy armor, otherwise he would have wished his grandparents. Yet Perospero still burned very badly, lost an arm. Then the newcomer returned from the dead, receiving another chest-piercing sword like Ashura, fearing that he would not survive. If Ashura had any fate, the one who regretted the most would definitely be Kiku, only because of his own weakness that his comrades had to sacrifice, almost harmed them, and possibly Momonosuke. Looking at Kiku's expression, maybe he is angry at Kanjuro 1, he hates himself 10. Although he apologized earlier to Ashura for not killing Kanjuro, and he said it's okay, but everyone understands Kiku's personality. So Ashura did not blame. And he took his life out, to correct his teammates. And others, in order to be deceived twice, also blow up the deceased to explode. This act is no different from the old enemy's gravesite, without having to say how angry they are. Kinemon shouted out Kanjuro's name, darting his sword straight out. There wouldn't be any love right now. With this act of resentment, Kanjuro will surely have to die, to pay Ashura Doji's life. The author Oda does not intend to let him survive, but will let the red envelopes liquidate the keeper. So Odin has a solution, but the shadow in chapter 1004 is not yet. At first the theories suggested that, Kanjuro abandoned the night after morning, drew Toki to cure the red envelopes, then drew Odin again to encourage them. However, with no one healed and then killing, Kanjuro's behavior showed that he really wanted to kill all of the Kojiki clan. Who then is that shadow? Is it Hiri? And why do you have to flee after saving people? These questions have yet to come up. I just know that if I just gave the Red Stars first aid, that person is still somewhere near the treasury. So if Ashura Doji is not dead yet, this shadow will save him again. Returning to the main storyline of this chapter, Kanjuro is fighting with the beasts of the beast, or the samurai are still unknown, but he is determined to play the role of a Kojiki family god, to destroy the Kojiki clan, to complete his role for life. His face really caused a lot of obsession, just like in chapter 974. As for Kinemon's group, they just went out when they ran into Jack, he was already waiting. The reason why Sanji has been lost so far is unknown, but Jack explains that his slow arrival is due to the Mink clan being held. They heard Bao Wang's announcement, so they rushed to protect the two kings, but now they all lay down at Jack's feet. On a closer look, this wasn't Shishilian's team, basically the most elite force on the 5th floor of the Mink clan was still there. As for Jack, he decided to repay the debt on Zou Island, when Reizo was unable to catch him, so on top of his skull, Inu and Nico broke the ivory. Knowing he was aiming for him, Nico started getting hot, and so was Reizo. But now is not the time to mention personal resentment, protecting Momonosuke is the first priority, so Inu chooses to be like Ashura Doji, that is when meeting the enemy with only one person, he tells Nico and Reizo to go ahead. You want to confront me alone? King of the day? You and I both love you, I alone is more than enough. Now that it's no longer personal hatred, I can't let a crazy beast like you continue to cause more casualties. Guys. Princess Momonosuke's safety depends on everyone. Although it is also ragged, but according to Inuarashi's opinion, Jack is no better, he is confident enough that he can solo with an Okanban. So we can see how strong Odin's gods are. Under Odin there are 4 people of Okanban rank, 5 people equal to other captains. If he ranked him as a quartet, then Odin also has Hyogoro, along with tens of thousands of samurai and yakuza. All are extremely friendly, especially not afraid of death. Perhaps the Wano nation is the only country that does not need the Yonko, or the Protectorate. They were able to defeat an emperor. If Odin was still alive, of course they would also destroy the fleet brought by Kizaru, so Akainu had to stop it. And the other interesting point here is that author Oda arranged Inu to fight Jack, not Nico. Still the Revenge Mink clan, but on Zou Island, after 6 p.m. Inu will go to bed, leaving Jack to Nico. But it's night time, the warmer is the king of the day, author Oda is so subtle, isn't it? The world changes, Wano changes, and so does the Mink clan. Tomorrow, if Inu dies, Nico will be the king of night to welcome dawn, which the king of day sacrifices for. Anyway, I think, 1 out of 2 people will perish in the fight, most likely Inuarashi. Right now, the Dogman and Jack were fighting. There is no full moon here, and there is no poison gas either. Jack is implying that he lost only in the form of Solong, but Inu was not right, recalling his dirty play. While in Zou, Jack alone had to fight 5 days 5 nights with 2 kings, so it is not known if the solo comes along, who will eat who. Both of them have their own arguments. Inu has confidently stayed solo, now they will be divided by their own strength, not relying on anything else. At the same time, another Kurozumi has not died yet, and is setting fire everywhere. He is Orochi, the incumbent shogun. Unexpectedly, the mythical Zoan still has special powers. Kaido in his human form can still create fire, of course Orochi in his humanoid form won't die, since he can still use his devil fruit powers. Still a stealthy gesture, Orochi is taking revenge on Kaido. He wants to burn down the castle, kill everyone inside, including his troops, Kaido's, or the insurgent faction. You might be wondering, if so, how did Orochi escape? But this guy is extremely cowardly, of course he is afraid of death, will not let himself be caught up. Orochi had a plan, because by his side there was also Fukuro Kyuju, who was now killing everyone who saw Orochi alive. I guessed right, Fukuro Kyuju left in chapter 991, to go to the place of Orochi. Kaido and even CP0 didn't seem to have grasp of this guy's ability. Fukuro Kyuju left Hodai, the Onue Bansha team, and surely he alone knew the mythical Hebai Hebai fruit ability, unable to be seen by anyone else. Even if everyone dies, Orochi doesn't care, because he just wants to destroy Wano and keep Hana capital to rule. Apparently Kaido made a mistake, underestimating Orochi, and turned against him too soon. Orochi will keep his life, hold his chair, and attack the insurgents, but now he will turn to revenge. Chopper had just gathered 1,000 men, and Orochi's army was still very many. Now the beast pirates will have to fight up to 2 enemies, while the number is reduced by 1/3, even Gifter is greatly tamed. But one thing Orochi and Fukuro Kyuju probably don't know either, is Bao Wang's spy cyborgs. Even if we kill everyone to see it, they'll be discovered sooner or later, to see how King will handle the situation. But perhaps when the battlefield turns to Wano, civil war is their job, the pirates will fight. Orochi has 1 head cut off, 7 more left, the Red Rose will take care of it, and Momonosuke as well. At the moment he seems to have mastered his abilities better, he can control the transformation itself, revert to human form, and get inside Yamato's shirt. I threaten you, my power is the same as that of your father, if you can turn into a monster like that, then you can help everyone. The hypothesis in 2 videos my front is on the right track. Momo has grown stronger, using willpower to control her abilities, above all the desire for power. And Yamato realizes its ability is similar to Kaido, she will teach him many things. But right now, Yamato is more concerned with the situation on the dome, especially Luffy. In particular, she wanted to join Luffy in defeating Kaido, as the name was Kojiki Oden. In the previous analysis I also said, if Oden is true, Yamato's fight against his father, and the logbook will become worthless. Oden still lives and destroys Kaido, but that's Oden's will within. The human Yamato. The Red Star group led by Kinemon was searching for the boy, so they will meet again soon. As soon as he handed Momo over to the Red Scarves, Yamato would complete the mission Luffy sent, she would go directly to the top of the skull to fight. Because she was very worried about Luffy, but Momonosuke said rest assured, Luffy is ragged, but his spirit is still burning like that. Then luckily, but wait. Princess Momonosuke. How does the princess know? Looking at the boy's bewildered expression, perhaps he is not aware of it, it just looks or feels. Definitely not based on the observed haki, if that is worse than Enel, I analyzed in the previous video, this is due to the artificial Uo fruit ability that Vegapunk created. He used the genetic factor, studied Kaido's body, and created the devil fruit that Momonosuke ate. So now it and Kaido have a special bond, using the power from just now, it sees what Kaido sees. The fear in the boy's body begins to show, this power is what worries CP0, to the point that they are glad it was just a failed product. In other words, Momonosuke possesses the power to make it a shogun, just being under control is over. If Yamato helps, it can use its special bond with Kaido, control the cloud of fire, and send Oni Island to another place. Finally, changing the scene to the top of the skull, the first thing we see is Luffy gets knocked into the mountain. How can we win against these 2 monsters? Any attack is useless. Zoro and Kid are complaining, they are tired. The basket still holds Enma, Kid doesn't use a robot anymore, he just replaces his left arm with a machine, and improves his right arm with spears. Killer and Law are fine from afar, it seems that 10 minutes Luffy is resting, they tried everything but failed. However, commendable for these 4 supernovae, when they are strong enough to confront the 2 Emperor and still have not been defeated. Similarly, Luffy, even though he has just recovered, has not yet turned on the gear, but can also attack continuously, even hitting 2 of the 4 Emperor. It must work. We've hit them so many times, they must have felt it. They are people just like us. After all, we hear the Gomu Gomu full again. But rushing into the 2 quartets without thinking, of course, will be beaten on the face. Think about it before you fight, Zoro said dryly to the captain as well. And Killer is surprised by Lu's optimism, thinking that Kaido and Big Mom are human. Yes, no human being 5 years old one hit and killed the bear, killed the giant leader Elbaf, and even ate the meat of his adoptive mother with his friends. I do not have a human to kill by all means and not die, jumping from a height of 10,000 meters down only feels a headache. But who is it? But with Lu, I don't care, if you haven't hit, then why should you fight? Law feels it's pointless to talk to a rubber-brained guy, so he just turned to discuss the other 3. Need to split them up, both Kid and Zoro agreed, agree, right. Facing both of them at the same time, it's no different from hell. At this time, Kaido's hybrid form officially revealed, in addition to the claw seen in chapter 1003, he has more scales covering his legs and arms, both shoulder blades, a little more on the chest and neck. At the same time, the body becomes larger, Kaido grows horns, has a longer mustache, has both a tail and canines. In my opinion, this shape is indeed very battle, but in terms of aesthetics, it is not very beautiful, a bit disappointing. Next to Kaido was Big Mom, she held Napoleon and Zeus in both hands. Prometheus became a mount, because Zoro was able to cut the fire so it was abandoned. But Prometheus's eyes suddenly turned into a Rinnegan, and if it could absorb the attack, it would be able to do something like the black fire of Amaterasu, not knowing if Zoro could cut the black fire. In the meantime, Momonosuke must transform into Momoshiki in order to eat it. Is it true that the golden lion Shiki will be a sleeping legend, and then the dragon body with Momo? I said that was just that fun, but looking at the 2 quartets full of power, it is real hell. But faced with any challenge, Luffy never winced. If that was the case, I have gone to hell several times by now. We try to tell it a few times. The first must be in Alabasta, dried up by crocodile. But eating a bucket of water fell on him, so he was able to move on. Then, when she was poisoned by Magellan, thankfully thanks to Bon Clay taking Ivankov, she admitted Luffy has a strong will to survive. But the most dangerous, definitely in the Marine headquarters, Lu lost consciousness, his body also exhausted after the battle, got one punch from Akainu. If it wasn't for Jinbe, it would have followed Ace, and the surgeon who saved both Lu and Jinbe's life was Law. This feeling should only be understood by Zoro, after meeting with Kuma at Thriller Bark, so it is normal for Luffy to meet the two Yons. But perhaps in his life, Kaido had never met someone like that. Not bad, Straw Hat. Your eyes never seem to turn off the fire. Kaido smirked. He was extremely excited, different from the disdain in chapter 924. At that time, Luffy's eyes were already white after the lightning strike, but Kaido still felt uneasy. I don't know, if it was his fierce fighting, or just some silly gesture, he kept glaring at me for a while, then passed out. Luffy still used his haki to dominate, fainting. Kaido's subordinates. If will is vital, then Kaido must have recognized Luffy's ability, promising that the battle ahead will be extremely attractive. We will continue to see chapter 1009 next week, most likely the chapter name will be Onion. And I just finished analyzing the latest chapter 1008 of One Piece. If you find it interesting, please donate the likes, share, and subscribe to a channel to support Top Shounen. Goodbye and see you again.